Thank you. Yes, I started my first week of teaching this week. That's right. I was so I was so sick on my first day of class. As I walked in, I took attendance and then said, "Read your syllabus, get your textbooks. I'll see you later." The students were just like, "Really? Awesome!" I think it was the best university class I'd ever had. Oh, that was great. It was great. I can't tell you how much I resonate with that song. I just. So we're talking about work today. We've been talking about abundance and relationships, and abundance and prosperity, and abundance and health, and now abundance and work. And I have never been a person who liked work. Well, for a long time, I was just a person who was just like, why do these people do this? Ah, I, uh, I come from a long line of this. So my great-grandfather, he ran molasses during Prohibition. And then my grandfather, he moved the family from Oklahoma to California hoping to get rich quick. That did not happen. And then my father was just sort of a serial criminal, and that did not work. It was up and down. We were doing good. We were doing bad. We were doing good. We moved a lot. Uh, we moved a lot, and then my mother left him, and she moved to the Midwest, and she married this guy who was like a ex-military, hunter, fisherman, hard-working kind of guy. 1,000% not like me, right? And I don't know how he could stand me, honestly. He'd say, can you come out and help me work on the car? And I would just be, can you hand me the wrench? Huh? What? I, I couldn't, oh. And I watched my parents, they both worked full-time jobs and they worked so hard. And I used to think, you suckers. You absolute fools for working so hard to raise 5 children. God bless you for doing that. What a fool I was. But I thought, I was so smart that, work. Who likes work? Hi, Portia. Who likes work? Who's going to spend their life working? Working is silly. And working is not silly. I've had a lot of great jobs, and I learned a lot from working, even starting off with doing chores, and you learn to do as you're told. You learn to follow the rules. You learn that working can be service to your family. Rather than, for financial gain. You begin to learn the value of routine. I was a musician for a long time, and there I learned the joy of craft, the divinity in the creative process. When you write a song and you know that it was given to you, that I have no idea where that came from. Well, I know where it came from. It didn't come from me. It came through me, and you're amazed, and then you just sort of give it away and let people do what they want with it, and it's not yours anymore. And there's something so beautiful in that process and learning that. And then I did office work, and you learn attention to detail. You learn to deal with drudgery. You learn to you learn to be proactive and reactive. It was okay. I worked as the executive administrative assistant to the vice president of marketing and business development at the world headquarters of American Express. It was like working at the West Wing. You'd walk out of the meeting and I'd be like, hey, this is that, this is your next meeting, this is that, this person wants to know this, here's what you're going to tell them, 2 o'clock's canceled. Yeah, and it was awesome, right? It was all fast-paced and cool. So I learned a lot from that, how to collect information, how to be on, how to serve somebody else, how to make somebody else look really good, and then just stand off in the shadows and get 0 credit for that. and not easy for a person like myself to do. You stand there proud for a second, and then you're like inching out into the light. Bartending, that was interesting, right? You learn to sort of be the chameleon as a bartender. You're the psychologist, you're the healer, you're the matchmaker, you're the wise man, you're the fool. You're a lot of things to a lot of people, and you need to be all of those things for as long as you can stand it. And that wasn't long, but you know. Then I moved to, well, I just dropped out. I sold everything and dropped out for a while and lived in my car and was looking for the truth and all of this. I went out to the desert. I drove out to the Mojave Desert. I'm like, I'm looking for the truth. And I got out there and it was so dark and so quiet and so a little scary. And so I slept in my car and I woke up and my car was surrounded by cattle. And there was this big bull with big old horns just right up in front of my car, and it looked like it wanted to like charge, and I was like, oh. And I had determined I'm going to stay in this desert for as long as it takes to get the truth. 40 days and 40 nights, I can do it. I flashed the lights trying to get that cow to move. I turned on the stereo, and the cow was unmoved by the cure. And so, so I decided to put it in reverse and get the heck out of there. My 40 days and 40 nights lasted a night. But then I ended up taking a job on a horse ranch. Now, I worked 13 and a half days a week, and then I would have a half of a Sunday off. And I lived on the ranch. And I have never worked so hard in my life. And I loved it. I loved it. You get to, you're in concert with nature. And you're caring for these living things. And you're feeding them. You're responsible for their wellness. And when the thunderstorm comes along and one of them bolts, and you got to go, track it down and take care of it and get it back to safety. And when they foal and that sort of thing, or when you're breeding and holding on to a stallion while it's breeding, you will never do anything more scary in your life. Never. Anyway, it is repetitive work, right? As farmers, you understand, it is repetitive, cyclical work, and yet it is so good. It is so rewarding. The reward is life, right? And then as a teacher, I'm sort of new to teaching, but it seems like I'm planting seeds for trees that I may never see grow. And that's pretty cool. That feels pretty good. And then as a spiritual leader, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Jury's out. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. So what I have learned is that good work is labor that lets soul stuff take shape. It lets us express who and what we are. And any labor that demands that we sort of betray our own nature, however respectable, is just living death to me. It's just not something I can do, and I respect people who can get out there and do that sort of thing day after day after day. Rumi said that everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every human heart. And I don't know how many people end up feeling like they're doing the work that they were meant to do, the work that they love. I know you do, Merritt. I know I now finally do. and it's a blessing. Um, I know that abundance in our work is the same as abundance in prosperity, abundance in our relationships, abundance in our health. It has to do with the law of circulation. And so if we are not giving our all in our work, we're not going to receive the reward that we might want from abundance. If we're not fully present with what it is that we're doing, and giving of ourselves, and being of service with all of our being, then what can we expect in return? And being that, this work that we do is such a big part of our lives, it makes sense that we give all of ourselves while we work, that we are present for what we do. And the way to do that, I'm sorry, I'm wiping my nose. I'm a little snotty. I'm a little I am experiencing just a slight dip in abundance in terms of health right now, but a really nice experience. Happy to have it. What I'm being told, thank you, is, hey Ken, slow down a little bit. Can you, buddy, slow down? And I have answered with a resounding yes. I can, and it's great. Thank you very much. You stay right there. And so, what turns out to be true about work is what turns out to be true of everything we do. It is, as Nico's reading said, the external world is the outer rim of internal thought. It is that our real work is our work to realize who and what we are. That is our real work. And the fruits of that labor, we find them in our prosperity. We find them in our happiness and our joy. We find them in our relationships. We find them in our health. We find them in our work. Yes. Yes, I want to just give you the mic real quick. I just wish more people would do this.
My favorite quote is by Khalil Gibran. Work is the manifestation of love.
Yes, thank you. Work is the manifestation of love. Love that. And so, we sometimes look for love in our relationships. We look for happiness from our prosperity. We look for safety in our health. We look for security from our work. But in truth, we find all of those things in one place, and that is within ourselves. And so if we can find the love, the happiness, the safety, the security within ourselves, then we can be that, and we can pour that into our health. We can pour that into our work. We can pour that into our prosperity, pour that into our relationships. How you doing, my friend? So, this is a full-time job. A full-time job. And it requires some quote-unquote work, right? That it takes time to go into stillness and to spend time with ourselves, getting to know the truth of who we are. It takes time, and it's something we need to do every single day. We have to wake up, set an alarm, and say, I have to go to work. And eventually we get to say, I get to go to work. But it is work that needs to be done. You know, there is This is a little extreme, but there's a story. As a young man, the painter Henri Matisse used to pay a weekly visit to the great Renoir in his studio. And when Renoir was afflicted by arthritis, Matisse began to visit him daily, taking him food and brushes and paints, but always trying to persuade the master that he was working too hard and needed to rest a little. And one day, noticing that each brush stroke made Renoir cry out a little with pain, Matisse could contain himself no longer. Master, you have already created a vast and important body of work. Why continue torturing yourself this way? Very simple, Renoir replied. Pain passes, but beauty remains. And that's a little extreme, but there's a great point there, that it is what we love. We will do it, and we will do it because it is what we want, because it is what means the most to us. And so we need to want truth, capital T, truth, more than we want struggle, more than we want drama. And this can be a difficult thing to embrace, but it is true that at times in our lives we want that drama and we want that struggle more than we want the truth. And that's all right. I did that for decades. Decades. Nothing wrong with that. But it very much is necessary to know it. Realize it. Don't kid yourself about it. That's what I spent those decades doing for myself. I'm so miserable, I'm so miserable. And the time that I would take out to talk to God would be this. Why? What are you doing this to me for? Instead of spending time each day in meditation and getting to know myself and going into communion with God, I would read some holy book and think, when am I going to read the one holy book that's going to turn me into a holy person? When is that when is that going to happen? When am I going to read those right words? It's like, oh, I finally get it. Ah. And maybe this happens to some people. But it did not happen to me, to the point where I thought, I need to go out to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and we already know how that went. That was one night, a one-night deal. I still, at that point, suffering though I was, wanted the drama, and I wanted the struggle much more than I wanted the truth. And then after a while, I just started doing the work. And perhaps it just took the time it took. So I am not suggesting that you guilt yourself into getting on the path. I'm simply suggesting that you be aware of what you're doing and what you're choosing. What work are you choosing to do? Are you choosing to work on struggle, meaning increasing your own struggle? Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, there's just not enough time to do the things I want to do. If there was just only more hours in the day. Or you hear those people when you say, how you doing? And they're like, living the dream. And you're like, are you? Because it doesn't, I feel like you're saying you're not living the dream, but you're saying you're living the dream. Your tone, living the dream. I do not know what to say to that, sir. But we're teaching ourselves something when we speak this way. We're teaching ourselves something. And so what are we teaching ourselves? What are we learning? What are we teaching the world? Let's put in let's clock in and do our daily work. And let's take time to go into that stillness and listen. You know, Nico started us off with the Om. And the Om is the sound of creation in the Vedanta. in the Hindu religion. They believe that prior to even God and gods, there was being. There was isness. There was Brahman, and it poured itself out into the world and created all that there is. And we sort of believe the same thing. We call that thing God. But before we came along and called it God, it was. Long before that. Before we decided, these fins aren't enough, let's grow feet and walk on land. God is. Already was. That's why we go within. Because this external world is just humans sort of baffled. And we go within to find out, what is that thing? What is that thing that was here before all else? What is that thing within me that simply is? And when I can get away from my thinking mind and just be, when I understand that there is an intuitive nature in me that knows the answer, that I'm guided to the right answer, that I'm guided to the right action, then my work is perfect. My service to my fellow human beings is beautiful. My work, when I turn this screw, when I sweep this floor, and I fill out this form, I do everything with precision and joy and detail and focus and mindfulness, because what I want to do is my best. I want to give my all. And I'm not going to concern myself with what is my reward for doing these things. I will be paid well. I know that I will be paid well. Of course I will. The universe is abundant, and I know that. I know that from within me, not because of some statement that comes down, not because Marty tells me, hey, Ken, you're doing pretty good. We're going to give you a little... Yeah, thanks, Marty. I know where you got the idea. So, but seriously, thanks, Marty. I appreciate it. Marty's in HR. Marty's in HR. He's doing great. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're numbing yourself from the truth by drugs, alcohol, Netflix, exercise, I heard Amazon. Amazon. I will say I have been there. This too shall pass. Be aware that you're doing it. Be aware that this is your choice. This is the choice you're making. I'm not coloring your choice as right or wrong or good or bad. It's where you're at on your path right now. But don't kid yourself about the choice you are making. And if you need help, we have practitioners here that are incredibly powerful human beings. And we will help you. Let's get to work. Let's go into prayer. What I know is that there is one power, one life, one thing itself, one source from which all things flow. I am one with this source. I am one with this power. I am one with this life. I am this life. I am an expression of the one. You are an expression of the one. And we are here to experience the glory that we are. The love that we are, the peace that we are, the harmony with all of life that we are, the great joy that comes from that, the great gratitude, the filling and overflowing of our soul that comes with living in alignment with simply what we are. And so I know that we do the work. I know we do the little things each day. We take a moment to go within. And those moments begin to stretch and stretch and stretch until finally we are awake and we see the face of the one in every face that we see. We recognize the beauty of the one in all that we see. The perfect harmony and balance of the one in all that we see. The consistent, infinite creativity and becoming in all that we see. And we are grateful, we are joyful, we are abundant, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And with great gratitude for this vision, I release this word, knowing that it is so. It has always been so. It will always be so. And we confirm by saying, and so it is. Thank you. Thunk.